Okay, here we go with the third segment of the EM clock. We decided to bring it inside the shop here. Things are a little more, little cooler in here. It's starting to warm up here. It is Southeast Texas, you know, it is warming up. But anyway, I brought it inside the workroom so I can now, I'm sitting in a chair and I can sit down and concentrate on it more because it's really getting, it got quite complex. But I'm getting closer. I've got one other thing to fix on it and then a couple additions, simple additions, I think, and then we'll be ready to go. I think it's going to be pretty cool. So since the last, let's flip it over and talk about what we've done since the last you saw it. All right, so the board's changed a little bit. There's a couple of things to notice first. There's a bell. That's going to go off every hour. It's not hooked up yet. You can see there's no wires on it. And next to that, that's a match unit. It moves one click every time you pulse it. But I can make it to where every other thing gets me, every other position will be AM or PM. So every time I change the day, I'll just pulse that once. And that'll change it from AM to PM whenever I hit the 12 o'clock. The other thing that I didn't really like the way the electrical was coming in. So I really kind of did some modifications on it. I realized that when I had it set up to where there was a white cord, I turned the cord on and off. It really turned everything on and off, and it really didn't keep my service plug alive, which I want to be able to plug something in there if it's plugged in and be able to A, test voltage, make sure I got voltage, and B, also to be able to work on it, you know, when I have the machine actually turned off. So then in order to turn it on and off, well, I just went and grabbed, a lot of you will notice this is a door switch for a arcade game, which it really gives me kind of a nice feature in that I can push it in to test things quickly. Push it in, turn it off, right? Or I can pull it out and now it's on, right? So that's the way I can turn the things on and off really quick and easy. I am starting to clean the wires up. I've got a little, you can see here, I'm putting in a wire loop and I'm starting to run all the wires together. I'm trying to, in the motor here, I'm trying to get them all in one place so I can bound them up when I get done. I added so this is kind of an interesting thing. The ground or the common comes in to here. I'm going to have two spots. Right now it's plugged into the further away spot, which ties into this one and this one, which is basically giving the grounds to all the different places that I need it to give the grounds. But I did this because at some point I'm going to want to make these, to be able to set the times on them, right? And I can't set the times with all the other wires hooked up because every time I change it, it would actually change it. So by moving this over a line, what I'm going to be eventually doing is bypassing all of the relays, and I'll be able to go straight to just the individual score reels so that I can set the time. So we'll get more into that, how I'm going to do that. But basically, in this position we're running, we move it over to pull this out, and we move it over to here, and we're in the set position. So now we can, this will tie into the processes that'll set it. So set or run, depending on what we want to do. And right now I've got it on run. So I'm adding few little features that I need to have in order to be able to set the clock and to be able to make the thing run. Now, I have a motor, and I got it right here. I bought this motor. I put this, this is the old flipper thing on it. I put this motor on it, and it says on the back of the motor that it's a TYC 24 volt. See that 0.9 or to 1.1 revolutions, right? So that should be like 54 seconds or at the most 1.9 seconds. So you're kind of hoping it would be somewheres in the middle, right? Well, when I run this voltage through here, it's running at once revolution every 45 seconds. So it's running way too fast. And I don't know whether it's because of the type of system I'm on or a commercial system or whatever. I've got the wrong. Generally, AC motors run on a frequency, and this should be 60 hertz. Yeah, and it should run. It even says 50 or 60, and I should get, this revolutions, this one revolution. Anyway, but this is what I was going to use. And basically what I was going to do is just have this swing by and hit the switch. I have two of them over here. Hit one of these switches so that it would just simply pulse the minute and everything drives. We talked about this earlier. So what I'm ended up doing is I put together I installed what I called a timing relay. So basically what happens is that when the motor comes by, I'm going to turn it on right quick. When the motor comes by, it's going to hit a switch that is going to turn real slow. So I can't have it on all the time. So basically this switch here, when it's connected, it's going to pull in, this switch, it's going to pull in this relay, which is fine, and it stays on. That's cool because that relay is designed to do that. The squirrel reels aren't designed to do that. So they go through here, but this will be dropped by the end of stroke switch on the minute. So whenever the thing comes around and hits this switch, the motor is going to hit them both. When it hits this one, it's going to pulse the reel and release this one all at the same time. So basically, it turns on the relay, pulses the wheel. Now, here's where it starts getting fun. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to relay, pulse it. It should go to 11 o'clock. There, now we're at 11 o'clock, right? Yay! Or 10 o'clock, right? Okay, so pulse, hit, pulse, hit. Yeah, this is going to take forever. So we're going to run this guy up by hand up to about 45. And then we're going to run this one up to 56. No, let's go two more. 57, 58. So timer relay, pulse. Timer relay should go to 11 o'clock. Nice, right? Okay, same thing. We're going to run this guy up into the 50s because it's going to take too long. Run this guy up to 57. Now, this one should go to 12 o'clock, but I don't want it to change yet because I don't want this to go to 0, 0. I want it to stay to 12 till I get 12:59. So pulse, hit, pulse, hit. 12 o'clock, rock and roll. Now we're going to do this again. This time, 5. All right, so this time, what should happen? Well, it has to roll all the way around to 0, right? This has got to turn all these back to 0, and then when it's 0, 0, 0, I have to pulse this one more time in order to make it 1 o'clock. Well, that's the part that I hadn't figured out yet. All right, so timer, pulse, timer, pulse. So now it's at 0 and 0, right? And at this point, I need to pulse the first hour one time to make it click one more time. That's actually more of a challenge, mainly because while these score reels have the little solid state boards, the little boards on here where we can make connection and we have different times on it. The problem is, in order to keep it from happening at 10 o'clock, I got to see both zeros, and so I'm using those numbers already for other purposes to know that I need to change it at 12 o'clock, right? It has to know that it's a 2 and that it's a 1. It can't just be, the 2, because you'll never go past 2 o'clock. It'll always reset, think it's the end of the day. So it can't be 10 o'clock, right? It's got to have the 1 and the 2 together. Well, you change them together, and that's how I'm let it know that it's 12 o'clock. Thing now is, where am I at right now in order to turn on the first this is the what I call the first hour relay, and I'm just going to push it in and pulse it once. And what it's going to do, it really is that simple. Just pulse that one more time. I could put it into the score motor, but the problem with running it in the score motor, that is, in order to get this one here, I have to run it twice in order to get it all the way back to 0, because it only goes to 1. It only pulses 5 times, and it's got to pulse 9 times, right, or 8 times in order to get it back around to 0. So I've got to figure out how to do that. So once I get that figured out, I'm golden. I've got wires sitting here. This is what I'm going to tie into so this is the hour relay. So every time the hour goes off, I'm going to ring the bell. Every time this relay, the first hour relay goes, not only will I set it back to 1 o'clock, but I'll also advance this unit and make the AM and PM change, because that's the only time it's going to do it, right? So, yeah, I'm getting closer. There it is.